We're here to solve this statue park by Serkan Yürekli called Clean. It's a counterpart to yesterday's puzzle, which had all black clues. This has all white clues, and so this logical solve is going to be about where can we still fit in 12 pentominoes. So I'm going to start by pretty cleanly marking the unreachable spaces. We've got some single cells that are pinned by other whites. Those can't take a pentomino, which needs to be at least 5 cells large. I'm going to turn on a number and just try to mark into the grid where we can get potentially as many as 12 pentominoes. So we can, and I'll also turn the border on so I can put some markings on edges. We can get one pentomino down in this space, a second in this space, only one in this whole space of 9 cells. I'm going to use some extreme cells when I'm marking these, so I will always have to take this cell if I got any of these cells as part of a pentomino, this sort of a key space, and I could get a fifth one down here, but we're not going to have these interacting, so there's going to have to be some key considerations there. I can get a sixth that's working from here, like a U or N, with potentially a seventh, but it will always have to take this cell. So 6 and 7 will have to be distinct cells if both of these are used. I get an eighth starting with this kind of U shape. I got a key thing coming down here, which will potentially be a ninth. If I use any of these cells in the top, I will have to take one or both of these cells. So I'll mark this as 10. I could take a pentomino like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, sort of come to this space, but then that's going to interact with this sort of coming up. And so we only get one that's going to bridge across these cells. So either one or both of these cells are marked, but the 11th is going to take this space. And that leaves just enough spot over here for the 12th to fit into the grid. So this is a logical solve that's going to flow from recognizing we've effectively marked where the 12 pentominoes are. And in a case like this, in the top space, 6 and 7 are distinct, so these will have to get some cells around them that aren't part of the marked shapes yet. For connectivity, I mark this in, so the first pentomino for sure is the U. A good thing to do at any stage of these puzzles is to look for some rare shapes that will be hard to fit into the grid. One of those is probably going to be this I shape. You can see not an I, not an I, not an I. You can go all the way around the grid and see that even this 10 can't be an I. The only I would intersect with 11, so 11 has to be the I. It's coming up this straight channel. It can take this cell, but not further, so it has to come down to these. Another shape that's going to be hard to get into the grid are the L and the Y shapes, and that's because even down on the bottom, there's no 4 in a row for 3, 4, 5, 2, or 1 to take, or even for 12, which now is cleanly a P. So the 4 in a rows look to come from 9 and 10 only, and the 4 in a row for 10 is this one, and the 4 in a row for 9 is this one. These can't join, so this is the L. That means 9 is going to have to be the Y, and those just have enough room to fit into the grid. It also forces where the 11 coming down to be the I pentomino is. So just using our shape inventory gets us these. 6 is a U, so 8 isn't a U. It can't take this cell. And this, for connectivity, can only take one but not both of these cells. So we'll mark these in, and we'll have to figure out what is the remaining shape. 4 coming here can't come all the way down to the cell because it wouldn't leave enough room for 5, but it could take this cell, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks pretty good. 1 will always take this cell and take this cell. If I don't take these extremes, I form another P in the grid, and 12 is marked as a P, so I will take these. This will be an N. If that's an N, 4 isn't an N, 4 is a Z, so these get marked in. And I'll actually color off the N. I don't have it fully placed for the 1, but I know that an N's over there. 2 is also going to need to take at least these 2 cells. It's not a P shape, so we'll have to take this extreme and this extreme and get into a 3x3 bounding box. That now does force the exact shape for this N. 8 isn't an N, it's a V. That means 7 isn't a V, so it will take this cell, but 7 isn't an N, so it takes this cell, so 7 is an F. That means 2 isn't an F, 2 is a T. So we have a whole set of shapes now marked in. We really just have W and X to go, and one of the things you can see with the 3x3 bounding box around, 5 is the only one that can take the X shape, and we now have to find a valid form for the W, and notice from connectivity, this cell has to be taken, so the 3x3 bounding box is going to have to come through here. This tight W is going to mark off too little of the grid, so the only possible W is this one, and we finish the solve. So a different kind of statue park solve, hopefully something if you had an intuition that the whites were going to delimit just enough space for these pentominoes, you could get the 1 through 12 numbers as it did in the video, then looking for the long shapes. In this case, the I and the L and the Y were really key steps to get into the solve pretty fast. So I hope you enjoyed this different kind of statue park challenge and learned something from the video, and we'll see you again soon.